global markets are riding a wave of political jitters and policy speculation, reminding us just how fast investors change direction when the narrative shifts. Asia is driving up oil consumption, and that means pressure on prices for the rest of us. In Africa, one country is opening its doors to big energy dreams, while another is grieving a tragic loss that highlights the link between infrastructure and safety. And as currencies shift, so does what we pay for goods, travel, and debt. Here's today's zoom out for June 26, 2025, where I help you see the bigger picture and how it affects you. Let's start with what's lighting up Wall Street. Markets soared again today with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq hitting new highs, while the dollar slipped to a 3-year low, according to Reuters. And all because of President Trump hinting at possibly replacing Fed Chair Powell before the year ends. And that sent a ripple through bond and currency markets, with investors betting that a new Fed chair might cut rates faster. So what's your zoom out takeaway? A weaker US dollar and rising stocks could mean better returns on your retirement account, but they also reflect uncertainty in leadership. And that could affect mortgage rates and inflation. When investors think money will get cheaper, they pile into stocks. But for everyday people like you and I, this could mean lower interest rates later, a weaker dollar now, and more expensive imports or travel. And even if it feels like good news on the surface, you need to be careful and pay close attention to how this plays out over the next coming weeks. A falling dollar and rising stock market feels like wins, but they shape what we pay for services, how we save, and where the global economy leans next. Asia just clocked its highest oil imports since January 2023, 28.65 million barrels per day. And that's not just restocking, it shows growing demand, especially from China and India, where economies are bouncing back. That demand is pushing oil prices upward again after a temporary dip from the Middle East ceasefire that we announced over the past few days. And so what's your zoom out takeaway from this? Higher oil demand in Asia could keep gas prices high, raise airfare, and affect shipping costs for everyday goods. And most likely, producers or companies are just going to push that cost onto the final consumer. So when Asia buys more oil, the rest of the world competes for what's left. You might not feel it today, but your next fill up, that next Amazon delivery, or your next holiday ticket to Bali, that could cost more, depending on how this goes. And some sad news today. 29 students were killed and over 260 injured in a stampede at a school exam center after an explosion sparked panic in Central African Republic's capital city of Bangui. Reports say an electrical fault set off the chaos. And this is more than just a heartbreaking event. It's a symptom of deeper governance and investment challenges in fragile states. A preventable tragedy like this shows how weak infrastructure and poor safety oversight can cost lives and stall the human capital that drives economic growth. So what's your zoom out takeaway from this? When basic infrastructure fails, it affects education, it affects the trust in government, and it also affects long-term economic development. For countries like CAR, this slows everything down, from job creation to investment flows, but it's also a telltale sign for the rest of the African continent. When we decide that we're going to be giving contracts to less capable people, we are complicit in endangering the life of whoever falls victim to that bad job that somebody does because you gave the contract to your best friend. And over in Sierra Leone, the country is launching a major offshore oil and gas licensing round. 60 exploration blocks with early estimates pointing to a 30 billion barrel reserve, according to local energy reports. The country has brought in 3D seismic survey teams and plans to open bidding later this year. Now, if Sierra Leone's energy gamble pays off, it could change its economic future, meaning more jobs, a stronger currency, and new trade links across West Africa and really the rest of the world. So what's your zoom out takeaway from this? Energy discoveries don't pay off overnight, but they shape future trade, they raise government revenues, and they also attract foreign capital, which is so important for the African continent. Sierra Leone is putting itself on the map, and that could rebalance power in West Africa's energy sector. So if I were you, I would gather a bunch of my friends and pull our resources together, buy an oil block, and become millionaires if they find oil. So that's also a gamble. You didn't hear this from me. This is not financial advice. Do what seems right to you. So the bottom line is this: Asia is hungry for oil. And that's not just a stat. It's why your gas bill or your flight ticket isn't getting any cheaper anytime soon. And the tragedy in Central Africa, that's a gut punch reminder that infrastructure isn't just about development, it's about life and death. And Sierra Leone's energy gamble, it proves that one bold move can shift a country's entire economic future. When the world zooms in on the noise, I zoom out so you can see the bigger picture. Which of today's stories hit closest to home for you? Drop a comment, and if this helped you make sense of the headlines today, hit subscribe. My name is Eniola Longe, and I'll see you tomorrow.